Hello, welcome to your intramural 5-on-5 basketball captains meeting. This is a very important meeting. Make sure you watch the whole presentation as there's very important information you will need to make sure that your team is signed up properly and is legal to play in intramural basketball. Please note that if you have information that you'd like to ask about, please call Campus Recreation at 562-1606 or use the CREC account. Also, Haley Kinkle is the graduate assistant that will be in charge of basketball and will be answering most of your questions. Please contact her at the email provided. To have a team scheduled, all players must have intramural leagues accounts. They need to go to the website listed here and to log on themselves and make sure every person has an account. If they don't, they will not be put on your roster and they will not be allowed to play. You must have a minimum number of players accepted to be on a team, which in this case is 3. Captains also must take and pass the information quiz, which will follow after you watch this presentation. Make sure that all your players are only playing on one team. You can only play on one team, and the players can only be listed on one team, and they can only be in one division. Like for fraternity, if you're on fraternity, you cannot play on the men's team. Also note that dual credit students are not eligible to play. Any individual who participated in a varsity sport during the last 365 days is not eligible to participate in intramural basketball. This means if they were JV, red shirt, anything like that, if they were listed on the varsity roster, then they would not be eligible to play on an intramural team. Again, note, 1 player per sport. Thank you. Some more information on eligibility there. Once a player plays a contest with one team, they cannot switch teams. If they're listed on 2 rosters, they need to make a decision on which team they're going to play on, but they can't switch teams after playing for one of them. And make sure people always use their real names. In basketball, you must have at least 3 people on your team, and 3 people must show up by game time to start the game. If you do not have 3 people there by game time, it will result in a forfeit and will probably result in your team not being able to play the next week. Protests. There shall be no protest for any judgment calls, and since we don't have any officials, we won't have any need for this. The main thing is if we're having some type of ineligible player that's not a Northwest student or somebody that's played on more than one team, we do need to know about that, please. Otherwise, this process will not be used much in this league. If for some or other reason you cannot come to your game, please contact the Campus Rec office at 1606 or by crec at nw.missouri.edu and let us know, because this will make a difference in the other team's schedule. It will also make a difference in our scores and timers and staff. And if you default more than one time, we may have to drop you from competition, but we'd like to stay with you as much as you possibly can. The only postponements that will be made will be through the Campus Recreation office. This will be due to probably just severe weather in this case. Rescheduling is your responsibility. We're going to play on certain nights. If you cannot play at that time, there is a process you can go through, but you're going to have to do that. You'll have to contact the captain, the other teams that are playing at the time you want to play, and see if a switch can be made, and then get back with us. More information is found at our website. Very important. It's make sure that your responsibility that all members know the rules that we are going to be playing by. When we have a player argue with an umpire or supervisor, it's usually because of their ignorance or the rules stated in the presence. So just yelling at a person to be yelling because you think you know what the rule is not a valid excuse. So please make sure you relay all this information to your players. If you would like to have a copy of the rules, they're listed on the IM League's webpage. If you look on the bar on the left there where it says info, you click on info, it'll say rules and other information. Click on that, and then you can find the 5-on-5 basketball rules and download a copy of those if you'd like. Please make sure that you enter your team and that you take your captain's quiz no later than Tuesday, January 22nd at 11:55 p.m. If the quiz is not taken By that time, your team will probably not be scheduled to play the first week and will continue not to be scheduled unless you finish that quiz. If you're putting in multiple teams, all you have to do is take one quiz, and then we will go in and make sure it's okay to go for the other teams. Once again, you must be enrolled in a certain number of hours to play intramural basketball at Northwest, and if you were on a college basketball roster anytime in the last 365 days, you could not play. This includes redshirts, ineligibles, if they're practicing with the team, whatever. And make sure you check all the other eligibility rules that are online at nwmissouri.edu/CREC. Okay, this is a self-officiated league. We will not have officials in basketball. There will be a supervisor monitoring the court. So make sure that nobody does any dunking, rim hanging, grasping, slapping the backboard. That's not allowed. That's not allowed. If that happens, the person will sit out the rest of that game and the next one. Profanity, we do not need people screaming at the top of their voice at this type of thing. The supervisor will probably warn on this, but if a person's having a trouble with it, we'll probably be asked to leave. No threatening behavior, either verbal or physical, before, during, or after a contest toward anyone. Excessive fouling, which makes a travesty of the game. Anything that could potentially cause equipment or facility damage or personal injury. Team captains, players are expected to be cooperative and helpful and helping with other people that might not follow all these guidelines. Make sure all your players are playing under their correct name, and when they're ejected from the intramural game, they must leave the facility. Thank you. All games, as I said, are self-officiated. Court supervisors will not make foul calls. They will monitor the fouls to ensure teams are not playing overly aggressive or committing obvious fouls. Participants that will continue in this manner, there could be a warning. There doesn't have to be a warning, but hopefully we get a warning in there, and if it does not subside and play basketball like it's meant to be played, then the game will just be called, and it's over. And then the captain will have to come in and see the recreational sports director before they play again. Game time is forfeit time. If you have people that are habitually late on your team, make sure you give them a 15-minute schedule. If you're scheduled for 6:15, tell them 6 o'clock. Just go odd or even with the other captain. You get the ball at half court. We do alternating procedure. You can have 5 people play, and as we said, 3 must begin. Everyone provides. This is a very important rule here. Everyone must provide their Bearcat card at the scorer's table to be able to play. If not, I will not be allowed to play. I think the game are 2 16-minute halves with a 4-minute halftime. Clock does not stop except for injury. If the score is tied, it will remain tied. After a made basket, the defensive team should get the position underneath their own basket and must inbound it within 5 seconds. Violations may be called either by the offense or defense. Put the ball in play out of bounds nearest where the violation occurred. Fouls can be called either by the offense or the defense. We will not keep track of team fouls or individual fouls. And any foul that's made on a basket and it's called, if the basket goes in, we'll count it and their team gets the ball out. Any foul where the basket's not scored, the offended team will get the ball out of bounds nearest where the foul occurred. If there's a dispute on the call, an alternating possession procedure will be used. And if continue to argue, the supervisor will warn and then could call the game. Please make sure you have the same color jerseys. We do have pullovers that will be provided for you. However, these might get a little smelly from each previous game, so it's good to have your own. Absolutely no jewelry, earrings included, will be allowed. You can't play until it's removed. Putting tape over your earrings will not work. Please make sure you bring in a clean pair of shoes, as the weather is bad outside and we want to try to keep the floor as clean as possible. And only one coach on the bench, please. In conclusion, this league will be self-officiated. There will not be officials. There will be supervisors there to monitor, but it's a call-your-own league. Make sure everyone brings their Bearcat card to check in with, and that they're already signed up on the roster. If they're not on the roster, even if they have their Bearcat card, they will not be allowed to play until they get signed up. Every year we ask about having a tournament in basketball, and this is what we'll do. If teams are interested in playing a tournament, you'll need to send a check to Northwest Missouri State. Get it to Bob Blade by February 1st for $100. We'll set up a tournament that'll be played on the courts in Bearcat and Martindale floors in March. We'll use licensed high school officials. You'll have at least a 2-game minimum if you're interested in doing this. We'd hope to get teams probably 3 games each, but we'll guarantee at least 2. And again, if interested, do that by February 1st. Thank you and good luck on your quiz.